Hello, everyone. All right, let's start the first question off to Tom Ward.
Tom. Hey, Tom. It's Tom Ward from Give Me Sport. You've had a bit of a long layoff. What have you spent your time doing?
Mostly partying, drinking a lot. No, I had my last fight in 2018. Unfortunately, in that fight, I suffered a pretty bad hand break on my left hand, and it kept me out of action for a while, a lot longer than I had anticipated. I signed a contract with the PFL. I want to say like 3 days before we had this major shutdown last year. So that added another year of inactivity to my career, but it's not something that I had planned on. In the meantime, I was luckily able to continue my professional wrestling career and make some waves in that avenue. But the goal was always to get back to this opportunity to get to the PFL and the 2021 season. So I've been active, maybe not in the sport that most people, associate me with, but the professional wrestling that I do is more like MMA than a lot of the professional wrestling I think people are familiar with. So I've been in the gym the entire time. I've been training consistently since 1997. So business as usual.
My final question to you is a bit of a short notice opponent change. You've come through a lot of adversity in your career. Are you ready for the challenge?
If I wasn't, I wouldn't be sitting here in front of you today. I don't have time to waste in my life, and I'm certainly not here to waste the PFL's time. Of course, I'm ready for the challenge, and you'll see that on Thursday.
Amazing. Best of luck Thursday.
Thank you.
Up next, Barcelona.
Yeah. Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All right, good. Thank you. Hey, so Major League Wrestling, you talked a little bit about the wrestling. What has that been like? And I know King Mo is there. We're seeing the crossover between MMA fighters and pro wrestlers. Do you think we're going to see more of that?
I answer this question very frequently, and I myself hold a degree in history from the University of Central Florida. So I always do my research, and if you do the same, you'll realize that ever since there's been combat sports, there's been crossover between professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. Mixed martial arts has only been around for 30 years or so in the United States, but that doesn't mean that there weren't people who consider themselves professional wrestlers who were fighting in non-predetermined bouts. If you want to go back and look at the infancy of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, that was because that there were professional wrestlers going to Brazil and doing what would equate to MMA fights at the time, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu came out of that. So we can go back thousands of years. There's always been crossover. Now that mixed martial arts is kind of captured the imagination, I guess you could say, of fans and people in the U.S., there's more techniques. There's more, people are more willing to accept submission wrestling and ground fighting. And you kind of see that crossover into professional wrestling techniques as well. So, there's always been a crossover. There's always going to be a crossover, but not everybody can do it well.
And lastly, for me, how does it work with PFL and MLW? Is it a good situation for you because both companies, you're able to plan your schedule? It's easier to plan a schedule being with both companies?
Well, it's actually been easier because of the pandemic. Really, I had anticipated, trying to juggle it as much as I could. But there was going to be a time where, I was going to have to step away from the professional wrestling ring in order to get ready for a fight. Now, over the past year, obviously with the shutdown, there were no PFL events. I was able to stay in the gym the entire time. And there was also, there were professional wrestling events, but they were a lot more sparse than they were in the past. So the biggest issue with professional wrestling and mixed martial arts is the travel. and the wear and tear on your body from professional wrestling, always being on the road. When I signed the contract that I have with MLW now, I made 100% sure that I had clauses in there that allowed me to fight. So if people thought that I was, moving completely into one avenue with professional wrestling, I mean, the front office at MLW, Court Bauer, MSL, they could tell you that that wasn't the case. I was, adamant that I had clauses put in there that would allow me to fight, and here I am.
Well, and then lastly, is Filthy Island better than Fight Island?
Absolutely. I would even say the bubble at the ocean is better than Fight Island, in my opinion. I don't know if it holds a candle to Filthy Island. We haven't gotten our spam here in the bubble yet. But yeah, definitely. It's Filthy over Fight Island for sure.
Thank you.
All right, next question, Dylan.
Hey there, Tom. How's it going?
Good.
Just wanted to congratulate you on becoming the first ever NJPW Strong Openweight champion there.
Thank you. I'd be lying if I said that was not a goal of mine it's a new title, but being in that New Japan ring, the Cerulean Blue, as it's known, has been a goal of mine dating back 16 years, the first time I stepped into a pro wrestling ring, and really before that. So thank you.
No, I think it's a perfect fit for what you bring to the table, man. But to that point, is the plan to concurrently go back and forth between wrestling and MMA, or just like sole focus on the rigorous PFL season the rest of the year?
My plan is pretty much the same as it's been my entire life. I like to look at what's directly in front of me. I haven't done too well with long-term goals. It always seems like when you plan something out in my life for long-term in the future, things don't go that way. Things never go to plan. So I like to look at short-term goals. I have a fight in front of me on Thursday that I'm, focused on. That's my biggest worry. And then again, June 17th. So I'm full steam ahead into the PFL season. You can ask me that question after those two fights are done, and perhaps I'll have a different answer. But right now, it's all about the PFL.
Fair enough, man. Thanks for the time.
Yep.
Up next, Ronald.
This is Ronald E. Smith from Gator Real. Tom, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How about yourself?
Hey, man, I can't complain. You've been fighting since 2007, and for all that, that's a long career. And with the ups and downs that goes with it, what has kept the fire burning inside of you?
A lack of other job skills.
I get that so well. And knowing that too, man, you've also been able to split with wrestling. And a lot of people, even to this day, even when you talked about it, still give that a side eye. What is it about with wrestling that makes you enjoy it so much?
Well, like I said, earlier, the type of professional wrestling that I do, that I enjoy, is more based in mixed martial arts. It's based in combat. When I was, if we want to go back like 20 years, when I really, really started getting into MMA, I was ordering tapes from Japan, rings events, Pride events in its early infancy, and there were a lot of crossover between professional wrestlers and mixed martial arts, and there was crossover in the techniques then as well, and that's what always has appealed to me. I've been a fan of professional wrestling, of boxing, of kickboxing, of virtually any type of combat, sumo wrestling, arm wrestling, X-arm, I mean, you could name it, moat fighting, whatever. I love one-on-one competition. There's just something about it that is so much pure, so much more intense than team sports. And, that's what's kind of drawn me in. There's nothing more primal than getting into the cage one-on-one with somebody. And there's nothing, that appeals to me more than that. The fact that I've been able to make a living by getting in there and fighting somebody for the past, my first fight was 2003 actually, but for the past 18 years is pretty awesome when you look at it. I have a lot of friends who have desk jobs, who live what I would consider to be pedestrian lives. And I don't fit that mold. I'm sorry.
Thank you very much.
Up next, Alex, Cage Side Press.
Hey, Tom, it's Alex from K-Star Press. How are you?
Great. Well fed.
I just wanted to know, I'm sorry, what are your thoughts on your opponent Antonio Carlos Jr.? He was a former ranked UFC fighter. He's coming in to prove something. You're coming in to prove something. Kind of talk about the matchup.
Yeah. This is people say it's a short notice opponent change, or I had an opponent change from Jordan Johnson, who I was set to face. But Antonio Carlos Jr. isn't somebody who's coming off the shelf. He's been active the past year. He's a phenomenal jiu-jitsu competitor. He is a phenomenal ground fighter. He is very, very tough to finish. I think he's only been finished once in his career, which unfortunately means I may have to fight 15 minutes, which sucks. But I'm more than prepared to do so. He's fought as high as heavyweight. He won Tough Brazil at heavyweight. But, then he moved his way down, was fighting at 205, fighting at 185. My first fight in 2003 was at heavyweight. Then I was fighting at 205. Then I was down at 185. And now we both meet back here at 205. If you look at it from the outside, it's clear to see what the game plan should be. On my end, like I said, was a world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So, I don't think I'm giving away any secrets here. I hope he hears this. I hope he sees this. I hope he reads this. I don't plan on going to the ground with him. I plan on getting 6 points before it even hits there.
Awesome, and good luck.
Breeze.
Hey, this is Breeze from the MMA Breeze. I wanted to ask, how coming back into fighting and performing in MMA, were you approached by any other organizations or entertaining going anywhere other than the PFL? And if so, what brought you to the PFL specifically? Yeah,
I've had opportunities. I've had things thrown my way over the past few years. I was offered a Lethway fight. There was a little bit of talk with, some bare knuckle organizations, and, I love fighting. I love combat. I don't know what to say. I absolutely love it. It's the only thing that I think about, on like a daily basis that, makes me happy to do as a living. There's $1 million on the line. I don't know what other chance I'm going to have at this point in my life to make that money, especially not doing something that I want to do. I could go get a job. I could go work at the plant in Amazon for our overlords. I could, sit behind a desk all day. I could go dig ditches or something, but none of that appeals to me. What appeals to me first and foremost is getting in that cage and fighting somebody. Now, the fact that I can make, a good chunk of change off of that, well, that's great. And the fact that there's $1 million at the end of this, that's even better. So it's a no-brainer. My wife has stuff that she wants to buy. She wants to get like a fire pit for the backyard, stuff like that. My kids want, a new Pokemon game. My daughter was crying yesterday because I didn't want to buy her the $25 Angela Kitty Cat game on the iPad. So when I get that $1 million, that won't be an issue. And that's one of the driving factors here.
Awesome. Good luck, man.
Thanks.
Thanks so much, Tom. Appreciate you coming on.
All right. Thank you.
All right.